Friday has become my one day of the week where I take off of work and try to focus on rest and relaxation. However, the last couple of Fridays, it has looked like being in bed all day doom scrolling. And naturally, it's made me feel like I'm completely wasting my Fridays away when I could be using the entire day to focus on other things I love, like cozy hobbies. So today, that's exactly what I'm going to attempt to do. I'm going to stay off of social media all day. And the only time I will be reaching for my phone is to answer phone calls or text messages. The big rule of thumb really is just to stay off of social media for the entire day. The first thing that we are doing today is actually going to the post office, which is kind of random, but I have to ship some packages out. My Instagram account recently turned 5 years old, which is crazy, and I hosted a little giveaway for some cozy hobby themed boxes. I chose 2 winners. I asked each of them to give me a list of books that they wanted, cozy hobbies, and just cozy things that they love, and based off of what they told me, I curated a box for each of them. I threw in stuff I think they'd like, and then also just some cozy hobby stuff that they could try out. I'm also going to ship out my extra copy of The Correspondent, which I also did a giveaway for. I'm going to try to host more of these types of giveaways throughout the year, just because sometimes I do read a book, love it, and then I get offered an extra copy like I did with this one, and I of course take it to make sure I can give it to one of you all. I just finished dropping off the packages at USPS, and now I'm gonna grab a quick little drink at a coffee/bookshop that opened up near my house recently. It is the cutest thing ever. It's so pretty inside. Back home now, and it's time to get into some cozy hobbies. I try to do a word search every single day, whether it's in the morning, at night, or both. I have not done my daily word search, so we're gonna do that. After I finish my word search, I'm going to start a new book. This morning I finished one. It was an early copy of Christy Woodson Harvey's newest book, Summer State of Mind. It's categorized as Southern fiction, which I don't read a lot of. I'm not usually a person to give a negative review of a book, mostly because if I really did not like a book, I don't finish it. However, this one was decent enough to where I wanted to finish it and I wanted to know how it ended. I just didn't love it as much as I expected, especially considering I had loved this author's book from a few years ago, The Summer of Songbirds, I think it's called. I read recently that it got picked up for an adaptation, which is very exciting. I'm excited to watch that. The story follows Daisy, who is a NICU nurse, if I'm not wrong. She moves to North Carolina to kind of start over after she loses a patient, and it really wrecks her. During her first day on the job, she meets Mason, who is kind of known to be a town heartthrob. Mason brings in a baby that he found at a dumpster outside of the school he works at as a baseball coach, and of course Daisy, being a new nurse there, she treats the baby. They kind of have a spark and hit it off. I think in the medical field there is a really big rule about not becoming overtly attached to your patients, and I don't know how I felt about that entire storyline with Daisy and the baby in this book. She has a really big core abandonment wound that definitely explains how overly attached she becomes to the baby. However, I still had a hard time coming to terms with some of the choices Daisy made in this book. I do think if you do enjoy Southern fiction, you'd probably enjoy this one. Now for the book that I'm going to start next, we've got 2 really good options. I've got Only If You're Lucky, which is a thriller by Stacey Willingham, who has slowly become my favorite thriller author. And then I want to say this one's literary fiction. It's Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. I've heard really good stuff about this one, and the adaptation will be out very soon on Netflix, so I want to read this before I watch that. I think we're gonna do this one. Before I get started with my word search and my current read, I do want to leave you with a book recommendation of a book that I really loved. And one of the ones that I read and loved recently was Into the Blue by Emma Brody. All you really need to know is that it follows AJ and Noah, who meet in the summer of 2000 working at a video rental store. That entire summer they get a lot closer, they form a really deep bond with one another, and then one day Noah completely disappears on AJ without even saying goodbye, and she is left completely heartbroken, and they do not see each other again until 7 years later when they're both cast in the same TV show. I want to say this is in the contemporary romance genre, which I guess I understand because it does focus a lot on the romance between AJ and Noah. However, I wouldn't categorize it as a romance. I do think because of the themes that it discusses and how much of a push and pull there is between AJ and Noah throughout the years, I would probably compare it to something like Talking at Night and Normal People with a lot of toxicity mixed in there. I got a lot of anxiety from AJ's dynamic with Noah, and I think that was kind of the point. You're kind of meant to feel the way that AJ does with that push and pull. I don't think that toxicity that they had going on should be emulated or glamorized. However, I think the point of the book really is to make you question, how far would you go for someone you love? How much would you be willing to give up? How much would you sacrifice? You know, what type of life would you be willing to give up for that person? And because of that, it is one that I think will probably stay with me for a while. It's been about a week since I finished it, I want to say, maybe 2, and it's one I keep coming back to mentally. I'm about 50 pages into the book so far, and I'm really liking it. One thing about Stacey Willingham, which has been the case with every single one of her books, is she hooks you from the very beginning. You are dropped right into a situation and you just want to see it all the way through. The dangerous thing with that is, personally, it makes me not want to put the book down. The last book I read of hers was Forget Me Not. I finished it in one sitting, which is so crazy. I rarely do that with books, but it was just that good. I'm gonna read a little bit more tonight before I fall asleep, but it's dinner time, so I'm gonna go grab some dinner with my sister, and then I'll come back home, take a little walk, and come back to my room to continue my night.
You have to edit, you have to put that in.
It's officially been 24 hours since Noah Kahan's new album dropped. He is an artist that I feel personally invested in and I'm always rooting for. Not in a weird, deeply parasocial kind of way, just in a way where I think he is so wholesome and deserves all of the success that he has gotten in these last few years. I first heard of Noah in 2019 or 2018, I think it was, from my older brother. One specific summer, we took a road trip and all we played was the Busy Head album. I kid you not, like the second Carlos song stopped, it just started all over again. And so now hearing The Great Divide and just seeing the progression of his artistry over the years is really, really cool and makes me kind of emotional. Just started winding down for bed. I'm currently doing a face mask. This one is from a brand called Innisfree. It's their Volcanic Swirl pore mask. I got a random urge to see a movie tonight. I was in between The Wedding Date, which I have never seen, and 27 Dresses, which I have seen many times. It's my favorite rom-com of all time, I would say. And since I am going to be knitting while I see the movie, I'm thinking I'll go with 27 Dresses. Speaking of knitting, in my last video, I was trying to learn how to properly knit. It took about a full week practicing every day and getting used to the smaller needles, because I think the last ones that I had knitted with were a lot bigger and they were metal needles, so it took some getting used to these small wooden ones. But I finally learned how to knit, which is very exciting because I have a lot of projects that I really want to get to this year. After practicing, I started my first knitting project, which was the Sophie scarf. I made it in a really pretty blue, and right now I am making a green one in the same type of yarn. I want to say it's Berroco Vintage DK. I'll link it down below for you all. I had made the blue one in the size small, and this one I'm making in a size large just because the blue one I wasn't able to wrap around twice. After finishing this one, I do want to start a sweater. That has been my goal for the longest time, to knit a sweater. If you have any beginner friendly pattern recommendations, I would greatly appreciate them. So far, the most common recommendation I've been getting is the Step-by-Step Sweater by Florence, I believe it's called. So that one is on my radar, but if you have any others, I will gladly take your recommendations. Just finished doing my skincare, so don't mind the fact that I look like a glazed donut. I was able to get halfway through my scarf, which means tomorrow I am going to continue on the second half, and I'm almost done with the movie, but I'm gonna end the video here, and after I finish the movie I'll go to sleep. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all very soon.